So the Academy doesn't always get it right when it comes to Best Picture. But what's really annoying when it comes to Best Picture going to the wrong movie is when there's a great film sitting right there that could have won instead. My name is Brian Rowe, this is the Awards Contender, and here is my top 10 list of the Best Picture Oscar nominees that were better than the winner. Let's start with number 10, The Social Network.
A guy who builds a nice chair doesn't owe money to everyone who ever has built a chair, okay? They came to me with an idea. I had a better one.
Why didn't you show me this letter?
I didn't think it was a big deal.
So I've made a video about this race. I've talked about it a lot on the channel. It still bothers me very much to this day that The King's Speech won the Best Picture Oscar over The Social Network. But at the time, I mean, there was a lot of competition in the category. You also had Black Swan and Inception and True Grit and Winter's Bone and Toy Story 3. So many great movies that there had to be kind of a consensus choice. The movie everybody liked, and in 2010, that was The King's Speech. That was the movie where even if Academy members didn't love it, nobody was really hating The King's Speech, where I guess I could see some voters just not going for The Social Network at all. But in the last decade plus, I do think The Social Network has aged so much better than The King's Speech in terms of the cast, the director, the screenwriter, that beautiful story that plays out in The Social Network. I have seen that film at least 5 or 6 times. It always just blows me away. It's so well done. I do think The Social Network should have won Best Picture that year. Number 9, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
But Brick, Skipper is dead, and I'm alive.
Maggie!
Maggie the cat is alive. I'm alive.
What a terrific film this is. One of the signature films, I would say, of the late 1950s, based on the work of Tennessee Williams. You have Elizabeth Taylor, Paul Newman, an astonishing ensemble cast. That film, decades and decades on, still works really well today. You can watch it now and get something out of it, whereas Gigi, which won the Best Picture Oscar that year, I could not even make it to the end. I thought that was a snore fest from the beginning. It opens with a very awkward song that hasn't aged well. The narrative just plods along. It's not very interesting. It's like, this is definitely a product of its time, whereas Cat on a Hot Tin Roof probably worked very well for audiences in 1958 and works really well today. I guess because of some of the adult subject matter in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, maybe some old school Academy members were like, yeah, my Best Picture vote is not going to that. My vote is going to Gigi. Ugh, no, that should not have won. The Best Picture Oscar winner that year should have been Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Number 8, Born on the 4th of July.
All I'm saying is I want to be treated like a human being. I fought for my country. I am a Vietnam veteran. I fought for my country.
Now, I very much admire Born on the 4th of July, starring Tom Cruise and directed by Oliver Stone. The movie did pretty well at the Oscars. It won Best Director for Stone. Now, I don't think Born on the 4th of July is necessarily the best movie that could have won the Best Picture Oscar that year. Do the Right Thing should have been the winner, but it wasn't even nominated for Best Picture, if you can believe it. It is so stupid that Do the Right Thing didn't get into Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Now, what movie won that year? Driving Miss Daisy. One of the worst wins in Best Picture I think we've ever had. I mean, it's not a terrible movie, but like, Best Picture win at the Oscars, give me a break. It is so silly that that film took Best Picture over Born on the 4th of July. I mean, there's not even a contest, I think, there. Maybe Academy members were just sick of awarding Best Picture to Vietnam-related movies? I don't know. They might have said, okay, we'll give you director again, but Best Picture is going to a feel-good movie. That's going to Driving Miss Daisy. And I kind of understand the thinking there, but that was the wrong choice. Driving Miss Daisy shouldn't have even been nominated for Best Picture, honestly. It definitely should not have won. That should have gone to Born on the 4th of July. Number 7, High Noon.
Listen, the judges left town, Harvey's quit, and I'm having trouble getting deputies.
It figures. It's all happened too sudden.
So when you look at the Western genre in cinema, there are some standout titles going back to like the early part of the 20th century. I feel like most people, including major film critics, believe that one of the best Westerns ever made is 1952's High Noon, starring Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. It is such a beautiful work of art. That film is exquisite. It's so well done, well acted, well shot, well paced. I'm not a big Western fan, but I really do appreciate that film, and I was happy it got into Best Picture at the Oscars. That's awesome. But then you look at what it lost to. It lost to The Greatest Show on Earth, which I just watched recently because I've been looking at a lot of James Stewart movies, and he plays like a clown in that film. And outside of a couple effective moments toward the end, most of The Greatest Show on Earth just feels like a commercial for the circus. There are long stretches of that movie where very little is happening in the narrative. It just plods on and on without any suspense or tension. And you're like, okay, this might have been fun to watch on the big screen for audiences in 1952, but why is it winning the Best Picture Oscar? Who actually thought in the Academy this was the finest work in cinema in 1952? It's perplexing, especially these days, because in the long list of Best Picture Oscar winners, The Greatest Show on Earth is pretty damn terrible. And it's like, High Noon was right there. And it was very much acclaimed that year. It got into a bunch of categories at the Oscars. Didn't enough people in the Academy in early 1953 say to themselves, you know what might be the better choice in Best Picture? High Noon. I mean, come on. That should have won. It is such a better film than The Greatest Show on Earth. Number 6, The Favorite.
Did you just look at me? Did you? Look at me! Look at me! How dare you! Close your eyes!
Alright, it's time to talk about Green Book, which I do think was the last truly awful win in Best Picture at the Oscars. It could have been nominated. That was fine. I mean, it's an entertaining movie. I didn't hate it. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. But like, winning Best Picture at the Oscars over Black Klansman, over A Star is Born, over Roma, and especially, I would say, The Favorites. I mean, any one of those 4 movies would have been such a better win in that category, and I felt it on the night when Julia Roberts said Green Book. I was like, really? Really? Even though I kind of saw it coming, especially after Green Book won screenplay, I just think, especially The Favorites, is such an ingenious film. I'm not a big fan of period dramas, but I think that is a very, very good one with such a fantastic cast. I'm so happy Olivia Colman won Best Actress that year. It was so well deserved. Imagine if instead of Green Book, they had announced the winner as The Favorites. I mean, it's right there in the title. The Favorites. Like, that should have won easily, I would say. But to be honest, pretty much anything else in the category that year would have been a better Best Picture winner than Green Book. Number 5, Giant.
Now, don't you worry about me. I'm a tough Texian now.
So when I was younger, I really came to appreciate the 3 feature films starring James Dean. I mean, what a loss that was. Imagine if we had had 20, 30, 40 years of James Dean film performances. That would have been incredible because he's so frickin' good in East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giants. I really appreciate Giants. I think that is a fantastic film from 1956. Elizabeth Taylor again. Rock Hudson's really good in it. It's beautifully made. It's so luscious in the cinematography. I would love to see Giant on the big screen one day. That would be fantastic. And it feels like that should have won Best Picture at the Oscars. It would have been a great win. It won Best Director, well deserved for George Stevens. But then you look at what actually won Best Picture that year for 1956, Around the World in 80 Days. Ugh, oh my god. That's another film I'm talking about in this video that hasn't aged very well. I feel like that was archaic in 56, and it's very archaic now. That's another hard one just to get to the end, Around the World in 80 Days. Probably, like Gigi and The Greatest Show on Earth, was exciting for audiences in the 50s, but it's definitely not exciting now. I can't imagine anyone today would look at Around the World in 80 Days and think, yeah, that should have won Best Picture at the Academy Awards over Giant. Why not Giant? It would have been such a better choice than Around the World in 80 Days. Number 4, Saving Private Ryan. Now, there might come a day in the future where I don't have to talk about Saving Private Ryan versus Shakespeare in Love anymore, but today is not that day, because here we go again. That Best Picture race of 98, where most of us thought that Saving Private Ryan was going to win the Best Picture Oscar. That made sense. It's one of Steven Spielberg's finest films. It had been 5 years since Spielberg won Best Picture and Best Director for Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan just seemed to be undeniable. I mean, Tom Hanks in the lead role, it was a massive hit at the box office. It had so much prestige, and it won most of the Best Picture prizes leading up to the Oscars. And so when Spielberg won Best Director, it seemed obvious that Best Picture would go to Saving Private Ryan as well. And I know there are many, many fans of Shakespeare in Love who think that's a really good win, that it's hated on unfairly, that Saving Private Ryan didn't necessarily have to win Best Picture, that the movie might have some flaws in the second half. It's not a perfect film. Why couldn't Best Picture that year go to Shakespeare in Love? I think when you put those two movies together, one is infinitely better, and that's Saving Private Ryan, a movie I've watched multiple times over the last 25 years. I think I've seen Shakespeare in Love twice. I have no intention or desire to watch it a third time. It's a nice, acting ensemble showcase. But the best film of the year, I just don't think that comes anywhere close to the power and dramatic tension of Saving Private Ryan, one of Steven Spielberg's very best films. I will always believe that Saving Private Ryan should have won the Best Picture Oscar that year. Number 3, I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang.
You're next. Take his stinking shirt off.
So in the early years of the Academy Awards, there were some questionable wins in Best Picture, like the Broadway Melody of 1929, like Cimarron. But in the case of those two movies, there's not another film in the Best Picture lineup that I'm necessarily excited about, so you're not going to really hear those titles again in this video. When it comes to 1933, the year that Cavalcade won the Best Picture Oscar, that's another kind of stuffy costume drama that shows up on many lists of the top 10 worst Best Picture wins at the Oscars of all time. That year in the Best Picture category, instead of Cavalcade, we could have given the prize to I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, which I think is one of the most intense, dark, fascinating films of the early 1930s. If you have never seen this movie, do yourself a favor and check it out. Paul Muni is the main star, and that character he plays goes through some shits, let me tell you. It's a prison movie. It is so well done. I love everything about that production. I guess maybe the awkward title might have put some Academy voters off. I don't know. But, like, I have watched Cavalcade once, and it is a difficult sit. It's very slow, not that interesting. I can't imagine Academy voters looked at those two movies and said, oh, my vote goes to Cavalcade. Like, what were they thinking? Clearly, the better movie in the Best Picture category that year was I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. Nearly 100 years since that film came out. It still plays beautifully for audiences today. Cavalcade, you could not show that movie to anyone who wasn't a major Oscar buff and expect them to even make it to the end. Best Picture that year should have absolutely gone to I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. Number 2, Brokeback Mountain.
So me and Jack, we're gonna head out and get ourselves a drink. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
We might not get back tonight when we get to drinking and talking and all.
So kind of like with Saving Private Ryan, I have also talked a lot on this channel about Brokeback Mountain. It was one of my top 2 favorite films of 2005. That's the movie I wanted to see win Best Picture at the Oscars. It seemed like such a certainty. Brokeback Mountain swept in Best Picture basically everywhere for months. Critics' prizes, all the big televised precursor award ceremonies. Like, it just seemed pretty obvious that's what was going to happen. To see an LGBTQ film win Best Picture at the Oscars, like the year I came out to friends and family, it was going to mean so much to me. And so when Jack Nicholson said Crash, I was like, what? I mean, I do think Crash goes down as one of the absolute worst wins in Best Picture at the Oscars. I chose it in a recent video, the number 1 worst win in that category, and I don't even hate Crash. Like, I own Crash. It's on my DVD shelf because I'm such a huge Sandra Bullock fan, and I think she's great in that movie. I wish Bullock was in Crash more. There are things to admire in Crash, but it should not have been nominated in Best Picture at the Oscars. It should not have won. I mean, come on. Compared to Capote and Good Night and Good Luck, and especially Brokeback Mountain, I mean, it's just such a better movie in all aspects that you can think of, in the performances, in the cinematography, in the storytelling. Like, Brokeback Mountain is and will always be a masterful work of art. I adore that film. It absolutely 100% should have won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And finally, that takes me to the number 1 choice. I feel like this was an easy call to make. My number 1 choice is Citizen Kane.
We have no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Enquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
Now, I did make a video in recent months where I called How Green Was My Valley winning in Best Picture an Oscar win I love that most people hate. I still do believe that. I think there's a lot of great things about How Green Was My Valley, directed by John Ford. It's a very personal story. It has some really harrowing moments, a great cast. That is not a terrible win for Best Picture. I feel like most people think that that's one of the worst in the category. I have never thought so. However, at the same time, I do think Citizen Kane is one of the greatest movies ever made, and it's really silly when you look back and see it only won a screenwriting Oscar. It didn't win Best Actor for Orson Welles or Best Director for Welles, and it didn't win Best Picture. It just doesn't feel right. It'd be like if Casablanca had not won Best Picture at the Oscars a couple years later. It'd be like if Gone with the Wind 2 years before had not won Best Picture. So you look back to that era, and Gone with the Wind and Casablanca, films considered to be 2 of the greatest of all time, they won Best Picture at the Oscars. But then right in the middle there, you have Citizen Kane, which gets a bunch of nominations, but it doesn't win in those top categories like actor, director, and picture. And it is kind of troubling. It is a bit of a head scratcher, even though I like How Green Was My Valley more than other people. I think that's a perfectly good film. It's not a bad Best Picture win. I feel like in any other year, more people would appreciate How Green Was My Valley, but knowing it beat Citizen Kane has really kind of tarnished the legacy of How Green Was My Valley, because I think that movie is like a solid 8.5 out of 10, whereas Citizen Kane is a 10 out of 10, one of the greatest movies ever made. Like, that should have won the Best Picture Oscar. Most people agree with that. And so, at the end of the day, when you're talking about the Best Picture nominees that are better than the winner, I think Orson Welles' Citizen Kane is clearly the number one choice.